227 is on the anterior midline at the junction of the philtrum and the upper margin of the lip. Do26 is on the anterior midline at the junction of the upper third and lower 2/3 of the philtrum. Stomach 5 is located directly anterior to the angle of the mandible. So the first thing you need to do is to locate the angle of the mandible correctly. Palpate along its posterior border, inferior border, until you find where the jaw is changing direction. Then come forwards over the masseter muscle. If a person clenches their masseter muscle, you'll be able to find a nice groove just as its anterior border, and this is your stomach 5. Bladder 10 is located 1.3 cun lateral to Do15. It's 4.5 cun from Do15 to the mastoid process. So divide this area into 3 and just come a little closer to the posterior midline. You'll be on the lateral edge of the trapezius muscle. Gallbladder 12 is found just a few fen anterior and inferior to the extra point peaceful sleep. Gallbladder 6 is located 1/4 distance between gallbladder 7 and stomach 8. Gallbladder 5 is located halfway between gallbladder 7 and stomach 8. Gallbladder 16 is located on the curved line joining gallbladder 15 to gallbladder 20. It's 1/3 of the distance from gallbladder 15 to gallbladder 18, which is on a level with Do20. This makes this your gallbladder 16. Ren 24 is on the anterior midline in the centre of the mentolabial groove.
Spleen 20 is in the second intercostal space, 6 cun lateral to the midline.
Spleen 4 is located in a depression which is distal and inferior to the flare of the base of the first metatarsal. Feel along the inferior border of the first metatarsal, find the flare of the base and place your point in between that flare and muscle. Spleen 4 is about 1 cun proximal to spleen 3. Be careful when palpating along the inferior border of the metatarsal that you don't overshoot the head and find this nice dip in between the medial cuneiform bone and the base of the metatarsal. It's a nice dip, but it's not spleen 4. Stomach 44 is located half a cun proximal to the web margin between the second and third toes. This point should fit nicely into the flare of the base of the proximal phalange of the second toe. Stomach 43 is located on the dorsum of the foot between the second and third metatarsals. It's 1 cun proximal to stomach 44. An easy way to find it is to divide the distance from stomach 41 to the end of the web margin between the second and third toes into thirds. This will give you your location for stomach 43. Stomach 41 is located on the anterior aspect of the ankle flexure. It's on a level with the prominence of the lateral malleolus. It is located in between the tendons of extensor hallucis longus and extensor digitorum longus. To reveal extensor hallucis longus, get the person to pull their toe up against resistance. Locate this point in a nice dip just lateral to that, actually in the ankle joint. Articulate the ankle to make sure you are actually in that joint. Gallbladder 34 is located in a depression which is anterior and inferior to the head of the fibula. To locate the head of the fibula, find the tibial tuberosity and move laterally until you find a prominent bony landmark. Be sure that you don't confuse the head of the fibula with the lateral condyle of the tibia, which is closer to the kneecap. Gallbladder 35 is located 7 cun superior to the prominence of the lateral malleolus. It's at the posterior border of the fibula. If you can't find the posterior border of the fibula, raise the foot slightly to allow the flesh to drop away from the bone. This point is on the same level as gallbladder 36, but posterior to it.